Hi folks, this is Professor Watts, and this is the Homework 3 tutorial for Econ 221 macro. So this is exactly what your Excel file will look like for the homework. I've changed the numbers and these problems, but you will have one on unemployment rates like this, one on labor utilization, one on calculating real prices, and one on Fisher equation problems. So this is exactly like what we've done in class with the Excel exercises if you've been following along in class. And there's really not much to it. So I'm going to work through these completely. And, as usual, just slow the video down or watch over again what you need more help on. And I encourage you to do a two-screen setup if you can. You can maybe watch the video on if you have two computers or a tablet, phone, or whatever, and then have your laptop open and just follow along. Okay, so let's get started. So unemployment rates. So this is actual data for the U.S. I just went back and grabbed some older data, November and December of last year, and I've got these numbers in millions. So I've got the number of employed, the number of unemployed, the number of discouraged workers, marginally attached workers. Remember, marginally attached are people who have given up on looking for a job, although kind of deep down they want to be working. And discouraged workers are a subset of those marginally attached who have given a specific labor market reason, such as, well, there just aren't jobs in my industry or my occupation or what have you. And then we've got the part-time for economic reasons. These are people who would like to be working full-time but have settled for a part-time job because part-time is better than nothing, right? Okay, and then we have the unemployment concepts of U3, 4, 5, and 6. U3 is what is known as headline unemployment rate, or the kind of the basic unemployment rate, and that is unemployment divided by the labor force. And then as we expand up to U4, 5, and 6, what we do is we add something to unemployment. So we add in discouraged workers here to both unemployment and the labor force. And then with U5, we add in marginally attached. We're basically saying, well, they're basically unemployed, even though they're not officially looking for work. We should probably consider them unemployed. That's what U5 does. And then U6 adds marginally attached, and then the PTER people, the part-time for economic reasons. And sometimes you'll recall that U6 unemployment rate is called the underemployment rate. Okay, so let's begin by calculating the labor force. That consists of the number of employed plus the number of unemployed. So I'm just adding the numbers for employed plus unemployed. I'm just adding up those cell values. All of this right here is going to be basic Excel arithmetic, just formulas, no functions. So I've got a total of 162.8 million in my labor force. Now the unemployment rate, U3, okay, I'm working across like this. U3 is going to be my number of unemployed divided by my labor force, which I calculated right there. Okay, and then my U4 unemployment rate right here is going to be my, now I have to use brackets, my unemployed plus my discouraged workers divided by my labor force, which is still up here, plus my discouraged workers. Okay. Remember to put group both of these in parentheses so you do the addition first before you do the division. Remember that order of operations. Okay, so I have 4% there, and then my U5 is taking unemployed plus the marginally attached divided by the labor force plus the marginally attached. Okay. So there's U5. 4.6, and you'll notice these rates will progressively get a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger because we're adding more people and we're having a proportionally larger effect on the numerator of this ratio than the denominator. We'll have a significant effect here because we don't add PTER to the denominator. They are already in the labor force. So let's see what this does. Unemployed plus marginally attached plus PTER divided by labor force plus marginally attached. Okay, so there's the U6 calculation. That's what the formula looks like, and we're going to get 7.4% there. So here are our our basic unemployment rate, U3, and then our broader unemployment rates, U4, 5, and 6, for the U.S. economy for late last year. Okay, now, the nice thing about running this calculation all over again is that we don't have to enter any of those formulas. This data set is structured exactly the same as this one, so all we need to do, and we didn't use any absolute references here, they're all relative, no dollar signs, so all we need to do is copy and paste, and shablamo, there is the results for December 2018. All right, so that was pretty easy, right? Nothing to it, right? Let's move on. This is easy. So, Watts challenge us. Okay, let's move on here to the labor utilization. Here I have the data for Michigan, just Michigan.
Yes, Michigan,
It says labor force and employment data for Michigan are shown below for 2010 through 2019. Calculate the U3 unemployment rate, the labor force participation rate, and the unemployment to population ratio. Insert a time series chart of these three indicators with the dates in column A as the x-axis labels. Alrighty, so what is U3? Well, it's the same thing it was over here. What is it? It's unemployed divided by labor force. So over here, this is going to look like this. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Okay, what is U3? Well, for January 1, 2010, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be the number of unemployed, and this is in thousands this time, divided by the labor force right here. So it's 13.9. Well, that was still coming out of the recession of 2008, 2009, so yeah, that was pretty high. But now we can copy this down, we can fill it down rather, and we can see that that gradually got down lower and lower, and we came out of the recession. And let's see here, by 2014, 2015, that was back down to 6 or 5%. And boy, it just kept getting lower since then. And we're really in a nice economic boom right now where this unemployment rate is hovering around 4% for Michigan. That's pretty nice. Okay, let's look at the labor force participation. Labor force participation is the labor force as a percent of the population. Now, I will admit here, this isn't going to be completely accurate because I don't have the adult population. I just have the total population, but this was the best data I could find. It's in a pinch, so we'll just go with it. And we got 49.1, and remember that is the labor force divided by the population, nothing to it, so we can fill this all the way down. Bada boom. And then the employment population ratio is the number of employed as a fraction of the population. So employed divided by population thusly. And all right, I had to go upstairs. I thought my cat was killing my chicken. So where were we here? Okay, let's see. All right, so we've got the rates. Now we just want to chart them. So watch very carefully. I'm going to show you how to chart this very easily. So if I select just this data, don't do this, just watch for a minute. If I select this data, so I'm gonna drag across here and then Control Shift down to select all of just the data I calculated, those rates. And then I go up here to Insert, and I do a line chart like this. It's gonna plot these for me, but it's not going to have my dates as my x-axis. Now I could go in here and I could select the data like this and change the axis labels, and I mean that would be fine. It would be a little tedious, but it would be fine. But there's a little better way to do this all in once, like one-stop shopping, so to speak. So what I want to do is start with the dates, and I'm going to start with that very first date, Control Shift down. Whoops, let's try that again. Control Shift down to select all the dates, and then I'm going to drag my slider bar back up while holding down Control. So I've got these dates selected still. I'm holding down Control, and I'm now going to click across and select these. I'm still holding Control, mind you. Now I'm going to press Shift and down, and now I've selected all of the data I want to chart as well. So I've got two non-contiguous regions selected. Isn't that pretty nifty? I've got the dates and the rates. So now with all of that selected together, watch what happens when I insert the line chart. Ta-da! Look at that. It made the dates my x-axis labels, and there's my data. Now the only thing I want to do is give this bad boy a proper title. We're going to call this, let's call this Labor Indicators for Michigan 2010 through 2019. That's fine. And then let's change, I don't like these series 1, series 2, series 3. I want to tell my viewer what those are. So I'm going to right click here and go down to select data. Then series 1, I'm going to edit and change the series name. Now series 1 is the stuff in column F. So that would be that was unemployment. So let's call this unemployment in series name. Okay, let me move this over here. I want you to put the chart right there. And then again, right click here, select data, series 2, edit, and series 2 is the labor force participation. Okay, and then series 3, edit, is the employment population ratio. Typing employment population ratio is going to be the hardest thing you do on this whole assignment. And there it is. Okay, so there's our time series chart. You can make it a little bigger if you'd like to, but that's going to be good enough. Okay. Now on the homework itself, it's not going to look exactly the same because I've got a slightly different data set, but that's the exact procedure you're going to use. All right. Okay, that wasn't too bad.